Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome to Life Simplified. Today we're continuing our Living Well Month discussions with the topic environmental wellness. As we have mentioned in previous episodes, each of the different wellness components we have been discussing are really all tied together. And environmental wellness is most likely one that we don't typically think about, kind of like the occupational wellness that we talked about last week. But if you do think about it, we spend a lot of time at work, at home, schools, our kids are at schools, and a lot of time we just forget that these places can affect our overall health. So, environmental wellness, when I say that, what do you all think? What comes to mind?
The environment we're around. I'm thinking like pollution.
I don't know, when I hear environmental, I just automatically think outdoors. And I know that's not accurate. Our environment is anywhere we are, but I automatically go to outside.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So I did find a definition from Ohio State University. And its environmental wellness is defined as occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support well-being. So it's any environment that we're in. Being able to recognize, and these are quotes, the responsibility to preserve, protect, and improve the environment and appreciating your connection to nature. So both inside and outside.
So, and it sounds like it's also like not just its impact on us, but how we're impacting it as well.
Yeah.
That's different. Like I wouldn't have automatically thought that, but I like that we're looking at both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we are going to talk a little bit later about ways we can try to not affect the environment in negative ways. So today we're going to be talking about 3 aspects of environmental wellness: paying attention to the different environments that you spend your time in, making an effort to spend time outdoors, which we've talked about blue zones and green zones before,
yes,
and being sustainable as a whole. So I did find an environmental checklist from the National Institute of Health, and we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into it and have some discussion about just to kind of check and things to be aware of to see if you are in healthy environments. So making your home healthier. So thinking about your house, is there things that you all do in your house to create a healthier environment that you may not have thought about before? We have one of those fans that filters the air. And so we always use that in my son's room because he has asthma. And then so especially during the summer months, we'll make sure that the filter's clean and it's ready to go and that he has clean air all the time, especially at night.
Yeah, I know recently I've been kind of researching cleaning supplies and looking at ones that are better for the environment, the impact on the environment, but also better for my family, because I really get worried about all of the things that we expose ourselves to, whether through our skin or breathing in. And so trying to figure out ways to make better decisions where my house can be clean, look clean, feel clean, actually be clean, but not as harsh and have as much of an effect on like my kids and my husband and I.
Yeah, we do that. I kind of shifted about a year or so ago, and a lot of the ones that I found are really vinegar based. Mm-hmm. So they're not like that fruity, cleany smell, but it is clean. Yeah. And like you said, it's not harsh on you or your family or the environment. Because I really thought about it after I had my kid, and I'm like, he's going to be in all these places. Mm-hmm. He's going to be licking them. He's going to be picking food up off the floor. Like, do I want to clean my house with things that could be toxic?
Yeah, and I have actually for a while now been making my own shower cleaner, and it is vinegar based, so I feel good about that. I have in the past made my own laundry detergent. I have not been doing that recently just because time constraints. But that is something that is good too. Like you can buy ones that are more clean and safe, but you can also make them yourself. And that is actually a resource that we do have in extension offices, some of those recipes and ways that you can make that are research based. So that may be something if you're interested in, you can check that out.
I have made my own laundry detergent before. I've made my own shower cleaner, and a lot of times I'm very sensitive to smells. So even just the making them, while it is safer for the environment, it also makes my nose a little happier. But I'm thinking more along the vibe of the house, making sure that I have a calming place. And we've talked about clutter, and we've talked about being organized, and we've talked lots in that arena. And so I'm thinking more along those lines, things that little changes that I have made there. And while it's not a physical health, it's still a mental health, and just finding a place for all the things.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all of you all. I guess it's kind of like a little trend thing, but I actually have both. I'm going to tell on myself. Laundry detergent. My daughter she makes her own. And so but I still have the liquid, but also, my cleaner, it's vinegar based, far as when I do my cleaning and that, I'm like you, I decided to take away all the harsh chemicals that are in my house and that. And so them are some of the changes that I done. But another thing that I have researched here lately is my granddaughter with dyes. And so taking the red dyes out of her system and everything. So I've been very more conscious of what I buy at my house for her whenever she is there at the house, or just with us there as well. We thought about doing all the dyes at one time, but it's hard. So just taking them red dyes, starting with that and then trying to move forward to the other ones. So that's something that I have incorporated.
Yeah, and thinking about what Ashley said about the calming atmosphere. So not just the way you clean it, but the other things, I think for me, lighting and sound are huge for me being able to just kind of relax and focus in and not feel so stressed. Like I need that for calm. And so having more natural lighting, not such harsh lighting is big for me. Like we use mainly lamps. We have a ton of can lights in our ceiling, but we rarely turn them on. We want kind of like a softer atmosphere or natural lighting coming in through the windows. But then also sound. Like I found I'm much more sensitive to like the television being too loud, or, my kids being on one of their devices and it being really loud. And so just encouraging them turn it down, take that to a different space. My boys like basketball, and they got these indoor basketballs for Christmas that they can dribble. And it's kind of like, not really styrofoam, but it's a foamy kind of ball. So they can dribble it and it doesn't mess anything up, but it definitely has a sound that you're like, I can't do that. So my husband has been like, that is banned to your own spaces in the house. Like it may be indoor, but it's not indoor in my area because it's too much. So I think considering all of those things for environmental wellness. So is it a calming atmosphere along with being a clean atmosphere?
Yeah, absolutely. And it did mention if you have to use cleaning products that have chemicals or a stronger smell, to just open the windows up when you are cleaning and just really get that airflow. And I thought about that when my son had the stomach bug, I was cleaning with everything that I could find to try to get, and I was like, this smell is awful. And I raised the windows up and just try to get all that smell out, because not using products like that and then using them just to kind of make sure I got all the bacteria killed, I could really tell that difference. So the second one is going to be reduce allergies. So as the weather seasons change, both winter, summer, fall, thinking about all the things, and it really depends on where you live too, right? Are you in the city? Are you on the farm? Like we live on the farm. So during the fall is awful for allergies because there's the dust from the combines and just the dust in general from the tractors driving around and things like that. It really can affect you. Just some tips that they had to do, and I really am more mindful of this. Like I said, my son has some asthma and some allergies, which I've had allergies, but I've kind of powered through it. But just avoid going outdoors when there's poor air quality. And I think we've talked about that before. And it may have been you that mentioned you look at your app or weather app to determine what the air quality is.
Yeah, you can look it up. I think it's got air quality, and then it'll also have things like UV, like how strong is it? So safety in that as well. And I think that's a really good tool, but something that we forget to take a look at. So when you're checking the temperature and trying to figure out what to wear, also taking a look at those things can help you plan out how much you want to be outside.
Yeah, and I really, I guess it may have been last year, we had a lot of smoke from wildfires that come through, and I got a lot of things about the air quality and that it was poor and not to be outside. And so that's just something to keep in mind. My goodness. And if you go outside, of course, wash your hands, wash your clothing, wash your hair, and that's, to get the pollen off or anything like that. Keep humidity levels low in your home. I don't know if y'all have ever tried to manage humidity in your house, but that's hard.
It's difficult.
It is really hard.
And they have like the filters you can use, but they also have like these. I can remember my mom having these bags you would like hang up, and it's like supposed to suck some of the moisture out of there, and it'd be like, oh, it's filling with water. You felt like it was a science experiment. And I assume you can still get those. I don't know. But it is hard to regulate that indoor-outdoor temperature within your house, especially living in the South when it can feel swampy outside at times.
The last one is washing bedding in hot water. And so that does reduce allergens. I think about that in ways of if you have pets or something like that tend to get on your bed. Or if you do tend to open your windows a lot. I know when the weather is cool and people like to just kind of air out your house. So that's just another tip for that. The third one really kind of goes in with the reducing allergens, and it's the air quality. So, and that's a combination of your temperatures, the pollination, the airborne particles, and how it can affect your breathing, your energy levels, and things like that. And it did talk about, again, avoiding going outdoors if you need to, especially when the pollen's high. And then reduce pollens in your home, avoid smoking. And one thing I never really thought about was candles and how that kind of affected the quality of air in your home.
One thing, too, that we've had to consider, and, we live on a farm. My husband is a farmer, and the land around us is croppable land. And so there are certain times a year when they're combining that it's a dust bowl, and I can't even go outside. Like, it looks just like a mist coming at my house. So if you live in those areas, considering like, is someone farming near you? Are they combining? Or is it harvest season? That's going to impact for an amount of time the air quality outside. So it may be nice. It may be warm enough to be outside. It may be a nice day. But if things like that are going on, it may not be the best choice to do that for just a little while.
So one thing we haven't talked about is the outside environment. And we talked about that in our definition: preserve, protect, and improve our environment. And then some of the tips were to be outside, to enjoy the weather. So what are some things that you all do, or you can think that you didn't think about environmental wellness until now? Is it things you do to be sustainable, recycling or picking up trash, or is it just going outside and just enjoying the weather?
So I really have an issue with littering. Like, I do not like litter. To me is like a big thing, and I don't know, it bothers me. Like, don't just throw your trash out. Like, there are too many options of ways to dispose of garbage than to just toss it outside. And so I try to teach my kids that. We do have a certain level of responsibility to take care of our environment because we want it to be there and be something that everyone can enjoy. Because, thinking about the green spaces and the blue spaces and whatever your preference is, if water is more your thing, or if, nature, forest, those type things are more your thing, if we don't treat them well, then we won't be able to enjoy them and to get that relaxation and that restoration from those things. And so I think I love all of the things, but it does make me sad if you're out on the lake and there's trash, or if you're going for a hike and you're trying to just really get in touch with nature and see the beauty of it all, and then people's garbage from their hike is sitting around. So I think that's an easy thing, a simple thing, and something that I feel like we should probably all know, but just taking the time to clean up after yourself, simple but big impact.
And I would have never even thought about environmental wellness if we weren't in this and researching it and really thinking about it. So I'm really glad that we brought this topic up. But I think more my environmental wellness would be, yes, I agree with the not littering, but then also recycling and finding a space for your trash. Because, I mean, how many bottles do we use in a week that we could then recycle those? And then on the flip side, getting out, enjoying the weather. We had about a week of cloudy days, and they were cold, cloudy days, and we're seeing some sunshine now, and we're all thinking, let's get outside. So being more mindful of that. And I've always considered myself more of an indoor girl, but I guess as I'm getting older, I'm like, yeah, no, I like that sunshine. I want to get out in the sunshine and breathe in the fresh air.
Yeah, and we know that being outdoors makes a positive impact on our physical health and our mental health. You know, we've discussed that before, and especially thinking, like Ashley said, you know, we have been in the winter months and it has been kind of gloomy and maybe rainy or snowy. It just not where we can get outside as much as we want to. And then that lends to seasonal affective disorder, which is called SAD. And I think that's a perfect definition of what it is. But, you know, not just getting light, not just getting the fresh air in our lungs, but getting that light on our skin and making that environmental connection really impacts us in a way that we don't even realize. Whether we're outdoorsy people or not, just being able to see the sun and the clouds and the birds out and all of that, it just does something for us that we can't get from the indoors.
Something that we've kind of talked about a little bit at our house, and we haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but it really kind of talking about this is composting.
Yeah.
And whether it's our scraps, like food we don't eat that we throw away, or it's just things that are in our yard, and finding ways to compost those things, because we do have a garden and we could use that in our garden. So it's something I may look into a little bit more after diving into this environmental wellness part.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something to consider. And I know there are a few extension offices who have started doing that. They're composting. And so anytime we can take something that would be thrown out and make it into something that's helpful in another way, I think that's just a win-win.
And we also have some information on rain barrels and how you can develop and you can make rain barrels that'll catch the rainwater, and then you can utilize that for watering your plants, or, you know, if you're cleaning something, you might as well use that water versus getting it out of your faucet.
And I've actually seen on a documentary where rain barrels and things like that are so good, not only just in general, but for disaster preparedness. If you get in a situation where water's cut off, you don't have a good drinking supply, it's not clean, like something like that can really help sustain in the interim while you're doing something like that. So there's so many different implications with things like that.
So I definitely think we've talked about a lot of different things today with environmental wellness. I did find some overall goals to help us become more aware of our environmental wellness and helping us thinking about how we can improve it. And so those things were: become aware of how your external environment affects you, which we've talked about a lot today. Redesigning your environment to more efficiently support and reinforce your needs, which we did talk about with the lighting and the windows and airing out our homes. Be concerned about the future of the local, national, and world climate. And we've really talked about ways that we can do that. We talked about it briefly, but if that is something of interest for you, maybe you could take some time and dig a little bit deeper into it now that you're aware of environmental wellness. And then the last one is minimize your contribution to the destruction of the outdoor environment. And so we did touch base on that a little bit about the recycling. And even if you pick up after somebody else, even though we don't like to do that, if you see it, you know, pick it up, recycle, those type of things. Thank you all so much for joining us. Hopefully you have listened to our other episodes about wellness and the different aspects of it and how they all tie together. If not, I encourage you all to go back and listen to the previous episodes that we've done this month. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.